Good evening, open source community, and welcome back to London, England. We're here at the very end of our first day of 3 days of coverage at KubeCon and Cloud Native Con. My name's Savannah Peterson. Very excited to bring you what is, don't tell the others, my favorite segment every show when we get to talk about accessibility and to the multiple working groups and people making change and fighting for diversity and accessibility, not just at the show, but within our communities, in their communities, and everywhere else. First person I'm going to introduce is Catherine Paganini. Thank you so much for curating this panel every single time. Why don't you tell me a little bit about both of our guests, since you're the one who brought these great minds to the stage?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Savannah, for being such an amazing ally. We really need more people like you. So that's we really appreciate you always bringing us, our team, to the stage and helping us raise awareness. And I'm really excited to have Sandeep and William here. So Sandeep is the new co-chair of the tech contributor, no, that's me, of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Working Group. So he's been a member from, I don't know, since a year and a half and has never missed one meeting, very committed, amazing person. And Will is a member of the BIPOC initiative. It's not a working group yet, so we don't have co-chairs, but he's very active there and one of the founding members, actually. And so very important group, very important work, so I'm very excited to have him here representing that community as well.
Yes, I know we had Destiny talk about that in Salt Lake City a little bit, and I'm super excited to dig into the conversation. Sandeep, I got to start with you. First of all, congratulations on being the co-chair of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Working Group. That's very cool.
Thank you.
Also, in the prior segments that we've done, we've had interpreters here, and you are using your phone to figure out what I am saying. Tell me a little bit about that. I think there's an assumption from the hearing community that all deaf people sign, and you don't, obviously, and represent that. So let's talk about that.
Thank you. So as a bit of introduction, I'm Sandeep and I work at Zen as a lead software engineer. I'm the co-chair of the CNC of Deaf and the Hard of Hearing Working Group, and also a member of the DAC Contributor Strategy and the SIG Contributor Group. So I'm a person with hearing impairment and I rely entirely on lip reading and captioning. So if you see me looking at my phone, I'm not just checking an email, okay? I need the phone for the captions. So in the deaf world, there's a spectrum. And like me, I got late deafened. And so I just rely on lip reading. And then when you age, your power to lip read goes down. And so then the captioning helps. Because there is only so much I could focus on your lips at a time. And then when I'm focusing, it also blocks my ability to think because I have to process it. So the captioning is like a very wonderful. Without the captioning, I don't know about the remote work, about being able to contribute to the open source. So in a way, I have to say COVID, it leapfrogged the captioning for me. And COVID was like, so to say, blessing in disguise for me. Because with COVID, the AI captioning, it leapfrogged. And I'm able to access all the events, have the captioning in the Zoom official meetings and everything. So some people like me, they just rely on the captioning tool. Some people use a mix. They rely on the captions, they also lip read and they also sign. And some people, they just sign. And I'm still learning because I just met someone new today. Okay, so she was just sitting next to me in the keynote and she was asking me something that do we have a coil and a loop? So I think that is also something that some deaf people are using. And then some deaf people use something like a SIMCOM, it's simultaneous communication. So they use the sign language and they use the captioning and the emotions mixed up. So it's a vibrant, beautiful spectrum, something like LGBTQ spectrum.
I love that. So not everyone walking around amongst us is staring at their cell phone and looking at social media. They're actually using it as a tool. Is that a special app that you use? Is it voice to text?
So if it is an Android phone, then I use the Google Live Transcribe, and I have to say Google is incredible when it comes to accessibility. And for my personal iPhone, I use the Author voice meeting notes. The tool has been a life-saving for me because unfortunately the Google Live transcribing does not work on iPhone. So I rely on Author. So like I'm just meeting someone random and I try to look for them, and if I cannot look for them, I just power on the tool. And it just works magic. So to the creators of the tool, I just want to say thank you. Never got the chance and I'm getting it today.
Absolutely. We will make sure we pass on that gratitude, and thank you for sharing. Will, I want to talk to you. BIPOC initiative, newer thing for the CNCF community, gaining momentum, I'm sure, particularly with the climate, at least in North America. Talk to me about the group, your work, your objectives.
Thanks, Savannah. Indeed, the BIPOC community is new. Just to spell it out, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. I had to look the first time. Our first goals are to enable and empower people in the BIPOC community to become more visible in the community, to contribute to open source, to instruct and enable employers to retain and employ talent of the BIPOC community. However, what I have learned personally in the recent days is that we cannot always have the same goal. Depends which BIPOC community we are talking about. If it's an American BIPOC community, especially at the moment, they have different interests, which we should respect and we should push forward. A BIPOC community in Asia or a BIPOC community in Europe has different issues of cultural issues with their work in open source, in cloud native. We should have a home for all these issues to be addressed. Just today we had a gathering, a BIPOC gathering, the second one. The first one was at Salt Lake. And one woman came up and said something extremely terrifying but also very exciting. Here in the UK, she's an African woman, coder, quite smart, very smart.
Everyone here is smart.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
And 90% of the people are smarter than me. So
Same. It's something we have in common.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the other 10% just didn't enter the venue. That's the problem.
Right.
That's why they're not smarter than me. So, but she said something very important, very, very critical. Here in the UK, she wants to work with other black women. She wants to have black women that are teammates. She never had. So in the UK, she gave a number that is terrifying, which is 0.5% of 0.5% black women are coding. 0.5%.
That's it?
Yes, 0.5%. And in a 6%,
oh, that just gave me chills.
6% of the coders, of the programmers, developers in the UK are women. And of this 6%, 0.5 are black women. So this is a terrifying thing. However, for me it's particularly exciting because that means that there is work to do. That means that we have a group, a BIPOC group, we can do something, we can give it a voice, we want to build mentors, and we want to have mentees. So we can get a home to this 0.5%, and maybe to also that 6%, because it's BIPOC, but we don't really care about the color, so just come over and we want to help out. So yes,
so,
this is.
Question for you there: where do you start when you hear something like that? How do you start moving those numbers in the right direction?
With hard work.
I'm sure.
That is the first. That is absolutely the first thing. And with the first start is that you want to be loud and up close and personal. That's what I always think. That's the same thing that I said to this community member. You want to have other colleagues that look like you. Help them to come on board. We are establishing this mentor program. This underrepresented group mentor program that of course is BIPOC, but there are other underrepresented groups. This is the first point. We want to go closer to children. I have particularly children interest at heart. So I want black children, BIPOC children, sorry, to join the initiative. And we have a program in the Netherlands as well to join this these children coding children of cloud native that we want to bring in the CNCF in the BIPOC as well. So we have a lot of things. We are doing a lot of initiatives. I want to list them all, but I'm getting
this is great.
more excited as I speak about it. So
well,
yeah.
I can tell. The audience may not be able to feel it. I can literally feel the energy in your body when you talk about that. Yeah. It warms my heart. When you say children, how young are we talking here?
Okay, so the schools in the Netherlands proposed to me to go between the age of 11, so from children of 11 and 12, but I want to bring it from 8 until 12. The reason why I want to bring to 8,
wow.
because that's the age that I wrote my first program. I was 8 years old. So for me, we can do it.
You are also one of the super smart people in this room. Yeah, geez, don't sell yourself short. 8, yeah. Okay, I was like eating dirt and bugs when I was 8. I was not.
I was doing also that.
Yeah, just coding with your other hand. Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, so you mentioned the new mentor program. Catherine, I know this is one of your many Project Love children. Tell me a little bit more about that, why you felt like it was so necessary, and how people can get involved.
Yeah, so we're doing a newer mentorship program. So basically, we have these diversity groups, and I'm working with the Linux Foundation on creating a home for all these groups, and it's going to be Linux Foundation wide, because this is not only an issue in the CNC in the cloud native community, right? And there are other initiatives as well. So kind of having something that is works across all foundations within the Linux Foundation, and so that is hopefully coming soon. And so these groups will kind of go into that larger group. And one of the things that we're starting doing that will be part of the of this new initiative is we want to create a mentorship program for underrepresented groups. So anyone who would like to become a mentor can sign up. We have a form, and it just depends also what you want. Some people may want to just sign up for doing one talk with someone, right? Some people may want to choose to have regular meetings for career advice. Or someone wants to help someone contribute to open source. There's so many different things, and so I feel like trying to see what can you give and what do you want to give, and then try and match that with mentees. So right now we're recruiting only mentors, because it's always harder to find the mentors. And once we have enough mentors, then we're going to see we're going to do a campaign searching for mentees, which I'm sure will be much more. We're going to have much more interest.
I bet there are going to be people blazing through that door to come in.
And one thing I want to say, my inspiration for this program, and I have to give him a shout out again, is Costas, who is an Argo maintainer. And he became Anastasia's mentor.
Awesome.
She's the first deaf CNCF ambassador. And I teamed them up for a talk, I don't know, 2 KubeCons ago, and now they're teaming up, they are preparing talks together. She was just telling that he does little videos with explaining Argo, because she is very interested in Argo, with captions. He does, not every mentor has to do so much just to be he's a superstar. So it can be small things, but just seeing how by matching 2 people, and of course it's the chemistry not every match will lead to something like that. What my hope is by matching lots of people, maybe if 1% of them becomes something like those 2, that's awesome, right? And then the others do a little bit, and some will never meet again, because it's just chemistry is important for these kind of things, right? But I just want to recreate that, because it's just amazing, and I think where Anastasia is today is also part of Costas, due to him. Yeah. So
she's been a rocket to watch.
I know.
We've had her. You've brought her to the show before. Such an impressive woman, and I've been having interviewed her, I've gotten to watch the ascent, and I've actually, from the outside, been able to see some of the impacts of that mentorship and her visibility and prominence, and it's so cool. I mean, I can imagine of all the people in the world to mentor, she's easier than some.
Well, she just needs a little, she just needs a little push, and then
It's
she
quite
gets
amazing.
she's like, so all she
yeah,
needs,
she's
she
awesome.
has so much potential, and I know she's going to have a very, very bright future in front of her, and it's just amazing to see that sometimes you just need a little push here, a little push there, and then to just go and fly.
Yeah.
And that makes you happy when you see that. So, and I'm sure there are other people out there that just need that little push, that just don't know how. And that's what the mentorship program is about, right? Like helping people just like getting in the right direction, and then they go off. And like for me, it's like they fly away, and then you're like, oh, bye-bye, wonderful. So
Yes. Yeah, no, it is beautiful, and I cannot wait to see the impact of this program, because I really think it will help empower, and it's not even just a push. Sometimes you just need someone to affirm that you can do it and that you're worthy of that endeavor, whatever that might be. So we've got you in the Netherlands, and we've got Sandeep is coming to us from India. Yeah, so cool. Little bit of a journey for you. I have never been to India, and I'm curious, what is the culture around accessibility in India, and is it as robust as some of the accessibility efforts that we see, say, in North America?
Honestly, the accessibility and the inclusion in India, it needs to go a lot more. So like, and maybe I can try answering your question by sharing my story.
Please.
So like, back then when I had my education in engineering, it was like 2 decades back, there was no such thing like accessible and inclusion in India. And my principal just told me that if you cannot follow the lectures, maybe just drop out. But there is nothing we can do for one person. So
Oh, that hurts my soul.
coming to the USA, knowing that you can do an accessibility for one person was like an eye-opening moment for me. So the US and the UK are like miles ahead in accessibility. So like I had a quite tough time in education, but the people of India, the culture is beautiful, the people are warm and incredibly friendly. And then so I was a topper in my school, and I got an F in one of the subjects in engineering. And I was like at the age of some 18, 19, I was just too depressed, and I just wanted to quit up on life. And then I held my mark sheet, and when I was crying, a hand gently tapped my shoulder. And it was the class topper girl of my class, and she told me to sit next to me from tomorrow and copy notes from me. And the thing was that in the first row in India, the girls were sitting. No boys were sitting, the second row was blank, and from the third row the boys sat. And so the next day I went to my class, I sat in the center of the first row, and I switched off my hearing aids because I did not want to hear all the people laughing. So the people laughed for a good 1 minute in a light-hearted way, but the sitting next to her changed my life. From the F became an A, and I got a distinction. So the help is always there. So the accessibility and the inclusion, it works in sort of a very different way in India. We really don't have all the structured policies and everything. The public transport is practically very, very non-accessible. Accessibility isn't a part of it. But then, as he said, it just makes me more excited because it means we have so much more work to do. You have a lot of things to take for granted, and we have a lot of things to work for. And then when I started my career, no company was actually willing to hire me. How would you talk to client on the phone? And I did not have an answer for that. But one CEO of a company, he was a gold medalist in IIT, and the IIT is the top ranking institute of India. So instead of going to USA for work, he chose to stay back in India and was openly hiring people with disability. And so I moved from the western part of India where I stay to the southern part of India. And in India, when you move from one state to another, you move across like a different country. There is a whole new culture, whole new language, very different climate, very different food. And when you move to the city, neither the food, nor the climate, and nor the culture was suited to me because I could not live in that language. But I persisted in that company because it was so wonderfully inclusive. It did not even have a tagline that we are inclusive, but it was inclusive inside out, outside in. So in India we have a very young population and that becomes a lot more inclusive because from that, if 10 people, if 100 people reject you, then still then 2 people come and tell you, you just come with me. Like the girl who said copy notes for me, or the CEO who said, no, you come and join me. I spent the whole night in a railway station preparing the interview and I did not ask any questions. He said, you came from that far, you have a passion in your eyes, you just start working. And the next day I joined. And my manager in that company wrote and wrote and wrote because I couldn't live with him. So I mean, whatever I am, I owe it to the accessibility of the elite, the empowerment that elite gave me. My entire story of my life is the story of the beautiful elite I found along the way. And then, so then my career took off. And then I think I went to clients' places, I travel internationally. So from being told, how will you talk on the clients to visiting multiple clients' places, was like very sort of a dream come true.
Well, I'm sitting over here holding back tears. Whew, nope, I think I'm just going to let them come. Wait. Thank you for sharing, Sandeep. What your story tells us is the impact that one person can have. Sometimes we don't think that kindness of that student in your class, or we think maybe we don't have enough effort because the percentage is so low of the population. One person can really change the world. And whether that's your personal world, I mean, look at you out here. Now, this is the first time I've cried on the show. Look at you out here. Don't always cry in enterprise tech, just going to say that. But I mean, look at you. Now you're out here serving as an inspiration for everyone else from India around the entire planet because of these allies and the folks who have uplifted you. It's why I'm so confident that your mentorship program is going to be so successful. Is it a little love goes a long way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And a little bit of empathy goes a really long way.
Oh yeah.
Even in my current company, my manager and my team is wonderfully inclusive. So wonderfully inclusive. Like I get the chance to come to KubeCon and talk, and I take a break from my work so that I could fully focus on KubeCon. So without my manager, without the support of my organization, and without that inclusiveness, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
That's so cool. And we're so happy you're here. We're so happy that you could do that and that you were empowered and feel empowered to share. So we've got a lot of, we're representing quite a bit of the diversity, quite frankly, and the diversity angles at the show. Talk to me about what happens next. I know there's a lot of combining of forces. What's next for the BIPOC group specifically, and how can us white people be more helpful?
Let me answer the first part.
Yeah, I realized that was a bit of a layer cake there, but
so what's next? The BIPOC needs to grow. With mass there is reach. With mass there is diversity of ideas and opinions. Even today, I had to change my opinion on things. I had to change my opinion, and I love it. I love to be wrong.
Yes, always learning.
Absolutely. We need to be more visible in what we do. Even in this mentorship program, I have we have this little slide, an example that just to call out that we have a mentorship program for underrepresented group. I feel that everybody should have it as a last slide in their presentation, regardless of what they're presenting.
Love that idea.
Keynotes. So
it's a great point.
This is we can only raise the awareness that something needs to happen if we are many speaking about it, right? So up close and personal. So.
Speaking about it, crying about it, whatever it might
absolutely.
be, you know.
and for the second part of your question. How can white people help? I've changed the question, saying how can people help, and then it's already help. It's if you stop looking at the color of the help, there is
Great
already
call out. Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I'll make sure that in any slide or anything I ever do around this community that
That's about people.
we're calling it out. I got you. I'm listening, I'm learning, I'm here.
I love it,
I'm
I love it.
absolutely,
I think, I
Yeah.
think what we can do next, and from now on, is probably we could do like a cross collaboration between the different groups, like the BIPOC and the deaf and the hard of hearing group team up. The deaf and the hard of hearing group teams up with the blind and the visually impaired group. So that probably we can replicate the success of the deaf and the hard of hearing working group across other underrepresented groups as well.
yeah, absolutely. I know, I mean, the Deaf and Hard of Hearing group, great example of a strong and successful working group within the CNCF family. I know you have some events coming up this week. Can you tell me a little bit about those?
Can you just, sorry, repeat the
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
The
Oh, no, it's all
transcript
good.
is not clear.
So I know that there's some talks tomorrow that are coming
yeah.
from, can you tell me a little bit about those?
So, one thing about this that the deaf and the hard of hearing working group has been just 1.5 years old. And the first keynote happened with Destiny speaking at Chicago keynote.
I interviewed her right after. Yeah.
And the Destiny was the ex-Scotia, and she did a very wonderful work in the last 1.5 years. And in this time in the CubeCon in London, the deaf and the hard of hearing working group is delivering a total of 7 talks.
Amazing! That's so cool! Wow!
And one keynote.
Yep.
Yeah.
Y'all, there's nothing you can't do, man. Do not, yeah.
And one of the things that we have to thank from the bottom of my heart is to Catherine for being an incredible ally. You have no idea how I became a part of this group, because in my circle back home, in my family, and in my office culture, I have no other friends. And so I was sitting at the Chicago keynote and just on the front row, because I think I always like to see the people slip. So I was sitting on the front row and just she was sitting next to me, and like I'm looking on the phone and seeing the captions. So she was like, "What are you doing? You are reading the captions?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Oh, you're deaf? Okay, then why don't you join the group and just learn?" And since then, I have been hooked to the group, not missing a meeting. And she said, "I'm committed, but it's because when you work with such wonderful people, you automatically get committed. It comes from within. Because the energy that she comes, I'm just reflecting the energy that she's given me." That's it.
Nice.
She is a radiant light. I agree with that very
Incredible.
much, and a true
And she's
facilitator.
making sure that we don't miss anything. So we have been working on so many things, like the best practices or the wonderful mentorship program that it has come to. So you see, like my CEO, my manager, everyone was sort of indirectly becoming a mentor to me. And the last year, especially the last year, I had so many mentors in open source, so many that I ended up getting an award of top put carry water within just 6 months of joining open source. In just 6 months. And this journey wouldn't have been possible without so many mentors around who guided me to do this, to do this. So what mentorship helps in all of these ways to put your efforts in a smart direction. It's a combination of a hard work and a smart work. And so I think the group has been really lucky that we are all hardworking, but we also have got very focused direction. Like you say, no, this is not going to work. At the hand of marketing, we actually borrow a lot of marketing insights on what to do and what not to do. So really happy to have all this.
It's amazing. Catherine's amazing. This community is amazing. I feel like there are many accessibility and diversity efforts on this planet, but I find that the efficacy varies, and I think that this particular community does an outstanding job of being inclusive, but not just being inclusive, but really lifting each other up in a way that isn't just ticking a box, but rather truly investing in the humanity of our technological, nerdy little family that we have here, which I think is super special. I'm curious, because we've talked about this every time we do a segment, how is this show doing in terms of both accessibility as well as inclusion? I mean, this is probably the most diverse roster of guests I've had on the news desk here. So I can say this is really representative. All day today we had over 50% women, which was so refreshing. And a totally different range of backgrounds and ages, and it's making me feel a lot better about the work that we're doing. So I'm curious, as folks who are even bigger allies than most, how does KubeCon compare to, say, other shows? What would you give them as like a star rating on their accessibility?
Accessibility is your question for you.
Okay. I just want to say one more thing. So apart from the 7 talks, we have 2 more talks tomorrow, and that is the DI Community Hub Open Space discussion, where we are inviting all the allies to come in like a free-flowing talk on any questions they have. And then there is the sign language crash course that is guaranteed to be incredible.
It was standing room only last time, if I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now to answer your question, the KubeCon, when it comes to accessibility, the KubeCon is truly top-notch because we work around the year and actively seek feedback before the conference. So once this conference ends, we are going to give feedback on what worked, what did not work. So like today the captions were really good. And the interpreter was also good. But in the last KubeCon, sort of, the captions weren't that great, and then we provided the feedback. And the nice thing is that they immediately fixed it. The very next day, they sort of fixed that. So it really was wonderful. Now, what is not so good was yesterday the co-located event. So they had no QR code. So if I attended one co-located event and they had the QR code on the PowerPoint, so I had to be present in the first 10 minutes to get the captions.
Yeah.
So I could only be at one co-located event in the first 10 minutes. For the remaining co-located events, I had no question. So, but the thing is, they actually seek feedback and they also gave me an iPad. So the iPad has the same app I'm using, but it's that the font is bigger, so it's much more easier for me to read. And the battery lasts longer and the phone battery doesn't.
Good point.
So, very wonderful to them for the accessibility, for the diversity scholarship that we get to come and speak at the KubeCon. So really grateful for all that they do.
Yeah, and
Love
just
to hear
to
that.
add, the CNCF or Linux Foundation events team has been really fantastic. Just like what Sandeep was saying, or like just saying that issue, you just tell them, and they really they really try to accommodate them as much as possible. And so, and even like the first time, like the group was just founded, and then we rushed to do the best practices. I think that was 2 months before KubeCon, and they implemented that. And so, huge shout out to the Linux Foundation events team. They're just amazing, and I think we really appreciate it, because they did not know that KubeCon was not accessible. They just didn't know. Because one of the big issues is like people, it's like, for instance, there were captions before, but the typical thing of events is like, we don't need captions, there are no deaf people here. It's like, well, guess why? Right? Like,
Right.
And then it's like the vicious circle, because it's like there is
point.
no accessibility, no people with disabilities come, and then like, well, we don't see anyone. So it's like, and so one of the important things about visibility is showing, even if it's not accessible, I always tell the team, just show up and say like, I can't hear, I can't understand. So just tell them, because the fact that you're there just shows them that there is interest, right? So a little activism sometimes is necessary. I just wanted to say one thing about allyship going back, because it's so important. Minorities are in the minorities by definition, right? And it's really easy to overlook their voices, or even flat out ignore them, right? And so that's where allies come in. We can make sure that does not happen, because together we are majority, right? And so that's why I feel like community-driven change is possible, because we can come and we can create pressure. It takes time, because we need to find allies, right? Like, and then build the momentum. So I do think it's possible, and I think it's important, right? And that's why, and then again, it doesn't have to be this huge thing. That it can be these little tiny steps. You don't have to be an activist, right? You don't have to sacrifice your job and then just go on the street and protest. Little things over time really add up, and you can literally change, we've seen it here, a person's life forever, right? And it also feels good. It just feels like, from a very egoistic point of view, like if you help someone and you see them like thrive, you're like proud, right?
Absolutely.
Like, so it's just making the case for anyone who wants to get engaged. It can be very little things, big things, everything matters, but we need everyone to kind of become an ally. We need to become a majority pushing for things, not having little groups on their own fighting and trying to bring change, because again, like companies can easily ignore it.
Yeah.
Right now we're in the ignore phase. Sometimes it's like overlooked. Right now we're in the ignore phase, like, at least in North America. So,
Yeah.
but like even if it's not the case, it's easy to overlook because if it's just a small group of people. So, yeah.
If we
Yeah.
just to add to this regarding the mentorship, regarding the doing something to stimulate the change. Mentors can be of any color, we established that. Of course, when we see people that look like us, we feel less in doubt that we are going to fail.
Seeing is believing is one of the things I
Right.
often say with this, yeah.
It is a bit of a call out also for people, black people or BIPOC people, to come out and help us mentor others. It's very important. Because it's not just being an ally, it's actually doing it. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we can help structure that work it happened with Anastasia, which she's amazing. We can find mentors that can help others to make those steps. If we see people on stage that do it, we feel like, yes, I can also do it. Let me give it a go. So,
Will,
yeah.
I think that's a great point. Sandeep, Catherine, Will, I could talk to you all day. I do have to wrap this up just so we make sure that everybody watches this, but genuinely, I hope that folks reach out, that they join the Mentor program. We'll make sure that we share that and include that below in the video links of this live broadcast. Also both to your groups, the initiative, as well as the working group for deaf and hard of hearing. I really can't thank you all enough.
Well, thank you. As I said, like
Thank
we
you
need
so much.
allies, we need
We should
media
be
allies.
thanking you for this opportunity.
And I mean, you made me cry for the first time on live television, so there's that.
You've got a record.
I love that very much. All right, I hope all of you got as much as I did and are feeling inspired, not only to be an ally, maybe considering being a mentor, or if you're feeling a little lonely and isolated, know that these communities are genuine when they say that you can reach out, that there are resources available, and that we are all here to help lift each other up. We're here in London, England at KubeCon, Cloud Native Con. My name's Savannah Peterson. You're watching theCUBE, the leading source for enterprise tech news.